Here we go again, sing. I usually get up around 5. Basically, we leave the house around 7:15.
Carla Grunn, single mother of 3, has been working almost 4 hours, and that's before she starts her job.
I told her I'm up to 18 kids. Wow. That's just in the middle school and high school.
I am an assistant to the director of the Food and Housing Program here at the We Care. We've seen mothers with children living in their car and just need food. We see people who need help with their electric bill, they've been laid off or just had a baby. Whatever they need, I get it and make it happen.
You'll get 2 of the blue bags here. There's extra bread in the box and I'll fill up your bags.
Grunn is good at what she does because she knows personally how tough life can be in Dayton, Tennessee, a city of about 8,000 people nestled in the valley between the Cumberland Plateau and the Great Smoky Mountains, between Chattanooga and Knoxville.
I was a victim of domestic assault and violence for a while. I loaded up my car with what I could and the kids, and we left. It's kind of gut-wrenching to have to ask for that kind of assistance and say, okay, I'm on ground zero, somebody help me.
I came to Dayton at the invitation of author and blogger Rachel Held Evans, who's lived here since high school and remembers how the route traveled by her school bus opened her eyes as a teenager.
I was a little surprised. I just didn't really know that some of the people I was going to school with were living in a camper or a mobile home. Well, I think when people who are working can't make a living wage, that's a real problem. And I think that's oppressive. I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with the notion of sort of corporate sin or shared sin, but you do see a common theme throughout Scripture where it grieves the heart of God to see people oppressed, to see the wealthy get more and more, and the poor get less and less.
Which is why Rachel wanted me to meet Carla.
Or you talked about when you were struggling, how hard it was to admit I need help.
Yeah.
Do you encounter people here who are
all
going through
the
the same
time.
thing? What do you tell them?
We see homeless people on a daily basis. A lot of people go to the laundromats because it is warmer in there. And you can just kind of sit and pretend you're doing laundry. And they're living out of their car. But the kids had to go to school because that was the only solid foundation they had, was school.
Yeah.
That was the only thing they looked forward to, a hot meal, you know, your friends, a clean bathroom.
Rachel also wanted me to get a better sense of the economic challenges of Dayton and figured that the best place to start was at We Care Community Services. Whether it's transitional shelter for homeless families inside these 208 square foot microhouses, or the giant thrift center that generates 60% of the We Care budget, or the emergency food pantry where Carla works, We Care founder Walter Ring buys into a basic philosophy.
If you want to help people, make sure you're helping them in a respectful, responsible way that empowers them to take care of themselves.
Can you talk a little bit about rural poverty and how that presents unique challenges that you all are addressing?
Yes, a living wage for a single individual in Ray County is only $10 an hour. Here's the bad news. We have rarely any factories that start at $10 an hour.
Is there any sort of dialogue with the employer?
Well, thank you for bringing that up, Bob, because the truth is, never in the history of our civilization have so few controlled so many. And by that I mean what has happened with corporations. People in this area are extremely resourceful, and that's why they can make it. But it is a struggle.
Nowadays, nothing irks Walter Ring more than what has happened to Carla Grunn.
She came from nothing. She was homeless, she had children, she became the face of the food pantry, people loved her, and we gave her a salary. And it was well over $10 an hour, and it economically destroyed her. She lost her food stamps, she lost her child care assistance.
It's like you take a step forward and they knock you 5 back. And you're like, well, do I just stay poor and in poverty, or do I try to work up to where I can be self-sustainable? But are you really self-sustainable or just breaking even and still in poverty?
Dayton's downtown streets are neat and clean with lots of small shops. And the courthouse where William Jennings Bryan and Clarence Darrow tangled in the famous 1925 Scopes trial is a tourist attraction. At first glance, Dayton may not seem like a place where people struggle with economic inequality until you dig a little deeper.
A friend of mine who has a job, works at the YMCA as a yoga teacher, has a few kids, said that We Care came through for her during a really rough time when she just couldn't quite afford to pay the grocery bill. And it was somebody who I was kind of surprised to hear that from, because it was somebody who I thought, oh, well, she has a job and her husband has a job. That surprises me, but they hit hard times.
Carla Grunn got a break, if you want to call it that, when We Care rescinded her pay raise to avoid having her food stamps and daycare assistance cut. Money is still tight, which is why Carla wants to teach a lesson of frugality to her 3 daughters.
We go to the thrift store to get their clothes. I mean, I didn't buy one brand new school outfit for them. It was thrift store stuff. And it was good stuff. And I've taught them to be proud of what they have and take care of their possessions and stuff, because it all costs to be replaced.
Clothing on the cheap is one thing, but cutting corners on food is something that Carla has learned is not okay.
You have to feed them the right things. They can't just have junk. Unfortunately, the junk is cheaper than the healthy food. There they are. Hi. After work, I go and pick up the kids. I always look forward to reuniting and everything.
As a single mom struggling to support 3 young girls, Carla Grunn could certainly write up a long list of things to worry about. So what is it that often keeps her awake at night?
I go home, I think about these people. I think about, are they cold in their car? How are they gonna wash up and send their kids to school in the morning? Politicians, for example, who don't see that, who don't experience that, they can talk about homelessness and poverty all they want to, but have they been there? Have they been on that level? I mean, the majority of them no. And it's really hard to get on that level with people unless you talk to them and become personable with them, and it's a respect thing.
It's fascinating to me how quickly you get sort of pigeonholed, I guess. 8th grade and 9th grade, you decide whether you're going to do a university track in high school or whether you're going to do learn more of a trade.
Professor Peter Held, Rachel's father, is on the faculty at Bryan College, and Rachel knows, compared with many, she's had a relatively privileged experience in Dayton. As a self-described evangelical, but also a member of the so-called millennial generation, Rachel believes people of faith must work to create a fairer economic system.
It's this sense of we're watching out for each other. We're going to be one another's safety nets. Not everybody has a safety net. And I think Christians are called to sort of be safety nets for one another and for the people around us.